Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another MMATakeover.com special presentation. My name's Keith Schillen, and today's guest is a fighter with a 9-1 record, 7 of his wins by stoppages while never being stopped himself. He is 1-0 in the UFC, and he returns to the Octagon at UFC Fight Night 105 on February 19th in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, against Gerald Meerschaert. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan James. How are you, Ryan?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. We appreciate you coming on. Um, so let me get right to this. Usually, our always cheesy question is: how did a guy from British Columbia get into mixed martial arts?
Actually, just by happenstance, I was out of shape. Wanted to get into shape, and I just was bored with the weights gym, and then I called up Zuma Martial Arts, and that was the rest is history.
Okay, so tell us who you're training with, and tell us who your coaches are, and some of the training partners that we should watch out in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I train out of Zuma Martial Arts up here in Victoria, BC, and my coaches are Adam Zuchek and Sarah Kaufman, and they've been my coaches since I started. Adam is the one who asked me if I was even interested in fighting in the first place. And my training partners are Dustin Joyson, who's actually fighting tonight in Hard Knocks.
Okay.
I watch him out. He's a heavyweight. He's really good. He's 1-0. Alexia Jeriu, who's one of the top lightweights in Canada right now. He has a fight coming up in March. And then a heavyweight boxer, Adam Graywood, who I believe has a fight coming up.
Okay. So you mentioned Sarah Kaufman. Obviously, she's a pioneer in women's MMA. She's been around forever. How have training with her? How has that impacted you, especially? And what specific advice did she give you before your debut in the UFC?
You know, she's just a a great sounding board. You know, she's a good person to kind of talk to. Like, oh, what to expect. She helps me with everything. She's a great coach. She helps me with my diet. She helps me with when I cut weight, and like if I have any questions technically. But when it comes to the UFC directly, it's like what to expect. What should I do? Kind of how to go about a few things. It's just a great person to go to look for some guidance and advice.
All right. So you're currently on an 8-fight winning streak. Do you feel any extra pressure to sustain the winning streak?
Well, you want to win. That's what pushes you forward. More than anything else. Because everyone wants to win. So that was it. So, but honestly, I'm surprised I have an 8-fight winning streak. I never expected to be in the UFC at all. So it's kind of I don't feel any pressure. I just want to go out there and kind of have fun. I don't even really think about it, winning or losing. That isn't what drives me,
Sure.
to succeed. I just love to compete, and it just so happens that I come out with the win.
Sure. Now, the reason I asked you that is because I've heard other fighters with long winning streaks, and they've actually talked about they actually feel the pressure to keep it. One I could always think of, a classic one, was back when Diego Sanchez. I think he started off like 16, 17-0 before he ended up losing to Josh Koscheck. And I seen interviews where he said that, yeah, he admitted afterwards that he did think about the winning streak and he did feel extra pressure to keep his perfect record. So let me ask you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So let me ask you. Now you're 35, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you're 35 years. You've been a pro for 8 years. Was there ever a time where you felt like the call from the UFC wouldn't come, being that you didn't get the call until you were 35? You were pro for already 8 years. Did you ever feel frustrated like that call would never come?
A little. Only closer to my 35th birthday. But that was more because I was, kind of just healing, getting over an injury. So I've been off for a long period of time. And it was kind of one of those things I said to myself, if I didn't get into the UFC by 35, well, then I really have to consider, moving on, doing something a bit different.
Uh-huh.
And I got the call to the UFC pretty much a month before my 35th birthday. So, there was a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy there. So, it was great.
Yeah. Now, how did the call come in? Did they call you? Did they call a manager? How did it work out?
They called my manager. I'm not sure the small details with my manager how they contacted him, but I was not expecting the call again because I was hurt. Like we were expecting to have to do one more fight
Okay.
because where I was hurt for so long, and then get in, and then
Okay.
then kind of be like, hey, the UFC, look at this guy. So I I was didn't even think about it. I was coming back from the grocery store, and then my manager shot me a text and called me. Like my phone was going crazy. So when I got home, I called them, and they're like, UFC in August. I mean, it was like most things. It's a bit of chance, you know. The UFC is going to Vancouver, and I'm local, so it was kind of like the perfect storm. And my manager really saw that and really pushed for it. So it was great, but for me, not expected. Like I didn't know my manager was in talks with the UFC. Like I didn't know any of that, so it was a big surprise for me.
That's cool. That's a great surprise. So let me.
Oh, I'm wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. Especially, I mean, I'm sure you've been in the sport for 8 years. I'm sure that you have been waiting for that call for a long time. Now, let's talk about your little history. Now, you've had some really bad luck already in the UFC. Even though you are 1-0, let's just look at your schedule. You originally scheduled to fight Adam Hunter. I think it was in August, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So
that was the fight I signed for my first fight in Vancouver. Yeah.
so anybody who doesn't know at home, so you were scheduled to fight Adam Hunter. You actually made weight for that fight, and then between the official weigh-ins and the ceremonial weigh-ins, you get informed that Adam received a USADA violation and that the fight was canceled. Then you're scheduled to fight part of the fight in the Philippines. The entire card gets canceled, and then you finally get scheduled to fight the third time in was it Albany? You fought. How frustrating was it to be scheduled twice? To think you're like, all right, I'm about to reach this dream of mine to fight in the UFC, fight in the biggest organization in the world. I'm sure your family, your friends, everyone is probably pumping you like, hey, make sure you check out my friend, take out my family, whatever. He's fighting this week. How frustrating would it be to get all that excitement and then have it be canceled twice?
Oh, it was definitely the Vancouver card was clearly the most frustrating because a lot of my friends were coming over to watch me fight, and they're like they like the UFC, but they wouldn't spend the money to come generally to go to the UFC, but they're like, I want to support my buddy Ryan. They're all coming out, and then when I found out, we had to call them and be like, look guys, we understand if you don't want to come out. We had this big thing planned, but yeah, some of them are like, well, we're not going to go now because you don't have the extra money really to do it.
Sure.
So I mean, that was really frustrating. The funny thing is that I feel like I was to blame. Like it was my fault. Like I'm apologizing to people. Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I didn't fail the drug test. Like I didn't do nothing wrong. I made weight. I was there.
So
I would have fought him still.
So just for the record, you didn't frame your opponent and inject him with any illegal drugs or anything like that.
Pardon me, I didn't hear you.
I said just for the record, you didn't frame your opponent. You didn't inject him with any illegal drugs, nothing like that.
Oh no, yeah, that's right.
Okay, just
right.
clear that out there.
It's right. I mean, so like I did everything right, and then I trained hard. I mean, I started like I didn't fight, so I was quite heavy when I started my training camp, and then to kind of have that happen, and then have to tell people, it's like that was heartbreaking because that was the absolute perfect debut. I was fighting a guy who I wanted to fight for a while, who was highly ranked in Canada, in my backyard. All my friends can come watch me fight. It was one of those great situations, and it just fell apart because of what he did. And yeah, I couldn't be more apologetic. And again, it was nothing I did. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the Philippines was less of a big deal. I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't make weight because to me that's
Sure.
the hardest thing is making weight. Cutting weight is the worst. So I didn't have to make weight. And they still paid me my show money. So what? Crappy, but book me soon. Come on, let's get this done.
Now,
But that wasn't as big of a disappointment as the Vancouver one. That one was hard.
Now you got paid for your fight with Hunter, correct?
Yeah, I got paid my show money for for that card, which was
And
awesome.
and the Manila one, you didn't get paid for that one, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did. That's
Yeah,
so
everyone. I believe everyone got their show money for that card.
yeah. No, that actually works out for you. So you didn't get beat up at all, and you end up getting paid twice. So that actually,
Well,
I actually don't feel that bad for you anymore.
no, well, I don't expect anyone to feel that bad for me. I mean,
No,
I don't. I'm not complaining. Like really, like I got paid to train, and then like for my December card, I mean, I've been training for 5 months or so up to that point. My weight was good. That was the easiest weight cut of my life. I mean, my cardio was great, and my skills were way better. Like, I've gotten way better from July last year, July to now, and even to that fight because I had a basically a training camp to concentrate on my skills. So I mean, it was a blessing in disguise, and I still got paid. So you can't really complain about that.
So let's talk about your fight. You actually did get to fight finally. You fought Keith Barish in your debut. Did you feel that classic UFC jitters that people talked about?
No, I think I'm a bit of a weirdo.
Okay.
I didn't, not at all. I mean, this is one thing, like, Sarah, the advice Sarah gave me. She gave it to me in Vancouver, though, but, like, just enjoy it. And then everyone else was saying, too, just enjoy it. And then if you see me walk in and everything else, I have big smiles. I like it kind of light back and back. So, I didn't really feel nervous about going in the fight. I mean, you're going to fight, get punched anyways. It's no different to succeed or fail than it is in any other fight card.
Sure.
So I was more like, I wanted to enjoy it. I think my biggest thought in my head, which I think made me push harder, was that I wanted to kind of prove that I deserved to be in the UFC.
Yeah.
Kind of like I didn't want to look like a fool. And even if I look like a fool and won, I just wanted to make sure I proved that I do deserve to be here. That was in my head more than like I was nervous. I go, no,
Sure.
I'm in the UFC. What happens? It's a fight. You win or lose, whatever. But I just wanted to make sure I looked good. I performed well.
So you fight Barish at the time. He was undefeated. You were fighting basically in his hometown. I think he was about a half hour to an hour away. So you're fighting a guy that's undefeated. It's in his hometown. And you're known for your ground game, but you get into this slugfest with him, a back and forth slugfest. You seem like you were marching him down and willing to strike. Was that part of your game plan, or that just what happened as the flow of the fight?
It kind of was the game plan. I mean, it was more the flow of the fight. Everyone approaches fights differently, and I don't like we found out early in my career that a game plan, I stick to it too much. It's too strict. So like people can start taking me apart because of that.
Yep.
So now we just kind of do, okay, well, let's drill these things because this is most likely what's going to happen, and then kind of go with the flow. I generally don't really force the takedowns too much in my fights.
Sure.
Like if they kind of come, I do it. Like it was more like stopping him from getting comfortable and taking me down.
Uh-huh.
So it was more about counter wrestling him than it was about trying to get him down. I mean, there's a few things that I try to do. I mean, if I was able to clinch more, but I mean, anytime I got into range, he pretty much ran away. So there's things I just couldn't do because of the way he was fighting. So, I mean, I don't force it. I don't consider myself a striker, but I don't force the takedown either.
Sure.
I was happy doing what I was doing, and definitely where I wasn't losing it. Like, I wasn't losing the striking exchange. It didn't force me to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did definitely display a strong shins. They did tag you with some big shots, but you were marching down. You landed a lot of shots, especially you used the kicks really well. One thing I want to talk about is, and I don't know if you were able to rewatch the fight, if you heard the broadcast, Brian Stan was commentating, and he praised your submission grappling. But one thing he did say as a negative was that you're not really known as a wrestler. I know you just talked about wrestling. How have you been working on improving your wrestling? Who you working with?
We have a couple of wrestlers that come in that are wrestling coaches. that one was one person fought. I don't know, wrestled at the Worlds at a high level.
Oh wow!
When he was younger, and then there was another one that fought. She's wrestled out of the University SFU. So there's a couple of good guys. An older wrestling coach and a younger one that kind of gets two different perspectives, and they really help us to get wrestling in order. Surprisingly enough, the fighter Alexei Giroux, he's a really good wrestler. He wrestled in high school.
Okay.
So I have a bunch of wrestling knowledge that I can pull from. My wrestling is, I think, a little better than people expect.
Okay.
I regularly, when I go train with other people, I regularly get asked, "Oh, did you wrestle in high school?" Things like that.
Sure.
I don't force it, so I didn't try to wrestle Keith.
Okay. Yep.
I guess.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, my wrestling, I'm no college wrestler, so I get that. But I mean, it's not as bad as it's not as glaring of a weakness as people might think it is.
Sure. So what advice I would give you is when you see Brian stand, just shoot it and take him down, and then remind him that you know how to take people down.
That's right.
So, just you're in the middle of your camp right now. You're about 3 weeks away to your fight. How much longer is your hard training going to go?
I'll go up hard training till I leave the 14th. So that Saturday before I leave would be my last day of hard training.
Okay. Now you're scheduled to take on Gerald Meerschaert. What do you know about Gerald, and what weaknesses have you seen that you think you can expose, but obviously not giving away your game plan?
Yeah, he's a really slick submission guy.
Okay.
And I guess you could almost talk about say like this. He's similar to me in that sense. Like he's a really slick, but I think he's probably slicker than I am with the submissions. Like how you guys ended kind of choke at his last fight. Like I'm thinking I fought on, like that was super slick. But I don't think he's a strong wrestler either.
Okay.
And I don't think he's a super strong striker.
Sure.
As well. So, I mean, we'll see how it comes out, but I'm not really too worried. He has a lot of experience. I think I'm fighting his experience more than I'm fighting his skills.
Yeah, he's got like 30 something pro fights. So you're
33.
I think I don't know exactly how many he's in. It's 30 something fights. So you're so you think you probably have an advantage in the striking, the grappling. Now you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. So I mean, he's a good grappler. You're a good grappler. So we could be in for a nice grappling display too. So I just want to transition. So you're fighting in your home country of Canada. Do you believe you're going to feel any extra pressure because this fight is in Canada? That I'm assuming the home crowd will be on your side. Do you feel like any extra pressure because every time you land a shot, they're going to be cheering for you, or does it just could be any other fight?
Not at all. It's going to be great. Like I'm actually from the east coast of Canada. Like I'm from Newfoundland.
Oh yeah, you're Newfie.
I'm a Newfie. That's right.
Yeah, no, I know that because my wife, she actually was born and raised in New Brunswick, so actually not too far from you. Yeah, she's from Heartland, New Brunswick, world's longest covered bridge. So if anybody listening from Heartland, I say hi to you guys out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. That's this is the closest I'm going to get to fighting at home that I'm ever going to get, because UFC will never go to St. John's, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah.
But I do have family coming, and I do have a few friends. But that's awesome. I love it. That actually energizes me. It makes me happy. Like it doesn't put any extra pressure on me.
Sure.
Not even in the least. I mean, I fought a lot in Vancouver. So again, I've always had a lot of people cheering for me, always there for me. My mom's coming, so hopefully I wonder how much she's actually going to end up watching, because I do end up taking a few punches, so we'll see.
So let me tell you, when you win, make sure you say hi to your mom in the post-fight interview. All right, so make her feel happy.
Yes, that's for sure. Thank you. I would have forgot that.
Don't forget
100% would have forgot that.
Yeah, don't forget that. And when you do that, I'm going to take credit. I'm gonna put it all over Twitter. I told him that. So you're fighting at 185 pounds. If you don't mind me asking, you're 3 weeks away. What's your current weight?
Like 200 pounds.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? 200?
200, yeah.
And how much weight do you cut in the last minute?
How much weight do I cut? I'll cut from just under, so either 196 or 199 is generally where I cut from.
Okay, so you're probably not taking off that much more weight from now until the final cut time.
Yeah, yeah. And I cut weight super easy too. Like it's never like the weight cut has never been an issue for me. It's
Sure.
been I've always found it pretty simple.
Okay. So now you've been a pro fighter for 8 years now. How much has your life changed just in this time being an official UFC fighter?
Uh it's changed a little bit in the sense that social media, I get a lot of messages from other Newfoundlanders being like, congratulations, being really supportive.
Sure.
And besides, like every now and again, I do like an interview here for the news and stuff. Every now and again, people are like, oh, I saw you on the news. But for the most part, Victoria is a funny place where no one really it's not really that big of a deal.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't walk down the street and people are like, holy crap, there's UFC fighter Ryan James. It's just there's some dude who's in my way. Like,
Sure. Yeah. Well, if you keep that winning streak
right?
going, they will.
So, I mean, right now it hasn't changed too much, and I'm just some schmo on the undercard, so we'll see what happens kind of as I progress forward in my career.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody's just some smug on the undercard because it was not that long ago. I was in UFC Boston a couple years back, and Conor McGregor fought Max Holloway. I think it was the second or third fight on the card. And now, obviously, if those two guys fought each other, it would be headlining a pay-per-view and would sell over 1 million views. So all the people out there, check out these undercard guys because I seen John Jones fight in a hotel in Worcester, Massachusetts. So not everybody, not every Conor McGregor and Daniel Cormier, just walk off the street and get in the main event. They actually have to earn it. So let's go to the main event of your fight is of the card you're on is Derek Lewis and Travis Browne. Do you have a prediction for that fight?
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a hard fight to call. I think
You got to give us a prediction.
Say,
you got to give us one. We're not one of these guys who let you just say, "Hey, I like both guys." You got to make a prediction.
Oh, I know that for sure. I'm talking it out. Like, if I think if Travis Browne trained properly for this fight, I know he moved some camps for this fight. If he trained properly, that guy's a dangerous, scary dude. But I mean, yeah, I saw Derek. Derek was the headliner of my of the December card too. So. I'm going to go with Derek. Let's do that.
All right. So now I know, like I said, I always make people make a prediction. I know it's easier for me to say because I'm not in the back seeing these two behemoths. So, so let's get to your fight. What's your prediction for your fight?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I would say you're going to see a submission stoppage in the second round if I'm going to have to make a guess.
Okay. So. And just for the record, you're predicting that you're going to win by second round submission, correct?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
I think the other guy can do it. I'm saying on a thing, it's either going to be me or him, but it's going to happen in the second round. But if it's going to be me, I'll be finishing by rear naked choke for sure.
All right, we got just two more questions for you. This the one question we always do is take a question from a fan. This one comes from Susan Banning. She's from the St. Louis area. She says, what advice would you give a young fighter starting out that you wish someone gave you when you were starting out?
Oh, some advice for a young fighter. Don't take any shortcuts. If you're a young fighter, don't rush it. Okay. People want to rush you into fights that you're not ready for. People, there's some mentalities of fight. But these days, you can't have a crappy record. You got to have a good record. One loss can set you back big time. I've seen it, and you don't want that. So don't rush your fights. Take your time. Pick the right ones. Don't feel like you need the ex-UFC guy in your third fight. Just take your time. Fight the right people. You want people that you can beat but challenge you, and just go slowly. And don't spar too much because your brain's an important thing.
Okay, so don't spar too much and don't rush it. So my last
don't
question.
Rush it.
My last question for you is: have you submitted to the takeover?
My name is Ryan James, and I've submitted to the MMA takeover.
Ryan, we thank you so much. We wish you good luck in your fight. Just let you know that as soon as my wife sees the Canadian banner under your name, she's gonna be rooting for you. The rest of us here will be rooting for you, and we just welcome you to the MMA Takeover family.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was another special presentation. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and follow us on subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to our website, themmatakeover.com. That's themmatakeover.com. Thank you.